All right, this is going to be the impromptu X space, the court of a public opinion on COPA v. Wright and Satoshi's vengeance. There has been nonstop just chatter online about this case and about what's happening with Bitcoin and its different versions. There's been a documentary that was just put out here that looks like it's been sponsored by Blockstream, and it's painted the narrative that a gentleman by the name of Peter Todd is Satoshi Nakamoto. And they had Adam back on there and some other people. There's a lot of just chatter about this nonstop. People are just calling it out, And so it's we've just finished this trial here, well, a couple months back regarding COPA v. Wright, where the court found Craig Wright wasn't Satoshi Nakamoto. However, it's on appeal. And I'd say in a matter of days, weeks, the court's going to make some sort of a finding on the acceptance of the appeal. It's gotten past the clerk's steps right now, and like initial briefing is going to start apparently. So we're at like this point right now where we've got potentially there's going to be something happen. Now, I want to please take notice that this is not a space about hopium. I mean, in a way it is, because in a way it is. I mean, I want to give a positive message and an uplifting message, but I'm not giving any conclusions as to what's going to happen about this case. But I do want to give a floor to the court of public opinion to give people's feedback and perspective on their findings and what the heck's going on. We had a really good space a couple weeks ago with Jerry and Jack and Kurt, and actually Kurt wasn't on that one, but a lot of people regarding the case that covered it. So let's roll into it, man. I want to do a quick update on it, and let's some of the key points to discuss are, well, the challenges of disproving Satoshi's identity, the media coverage, the lack of media coverage on the case overall, and the expert witness testimony that's now shown that looks like, I mean, whether this is going to be relevant or not, it's Sarah Meiklejohn. She was a professor, or it was a professor that testified for COPA, and there's pictures of her in 2014 with the BTC Core team next to Greg Maxwell and Nick Szabo and all the guys who were in Core and then evolved into COPA, and I guess most of them, and then also Blockstream. And she's there in 2014 with him, 2015. So the public opinion on that, and then also the stuff with my friend David Pearce, which he laughs about, whether or not it's relevant or not, but apparently he's actually one of the attorneys for COPA, and his role in meeting with the court during the trial, whether that was disclosed or not. Now, here's I really don't believe that they even maybe did anything bad or false or malicious. Let's just say they didn't. However, there's a legal principle here. In a trial, a judge has a duty to disclose meetings with counsel on the other side, or meetings with one of the parties, because it may not be a big deal, but that's for the parties to decide. Okay, so what would normally happen in a case like that is, I go to court and I say, and then the judge is and I've got a case going on, right? And the judge has met with counsel for dinner, let's say before the trial or during the trial, let's say during the trial, or even at a meeting, a lecture, whatever, and they talk. He would then say, the judge would have a duty to disclose that to me if I was the moving party for, let's say, the defendant. I'd say, okay, what's going on? The judge says, okay, before we begin, everybody, I just want to disclose that I had a out of court meeting, or total informal meeting with one of the parties' counsels. Here's what was discussed. Here's the result of it. If anybody has a challenge to that, bring it now or forever hold your peace. And then I, as the party or the defendant, I could, represent the defendant, I could say, objection, Your Honor, I do have a objection to that. I have a problem with that, and I want to know more. I want to decide if I want to ask you to recuse yourself or not. And then the court can decide if it wants to take itself off the bench, because it may, giving the party the opportunity to then say, hey, I think that's bias, I think it's prejudice, and I want a different judge. Okay, and there's a procedure to do that in California. 170.6 is automatic. And then you have written challenges like 170.3, which challenge the judicial officer under those grounds. So in fact, I mean, I could talk from experience. I mean, in this case, I mean, I had I'll tell my own story. I went to court, and it was a summary judgment hearing. Okay. And at the summary judgment hearing, where they're gonna move the court, the other side's gonna move the court and say, we don't want to have trial. We want to get judgment on the papers only. And so they come in and I go before the judge, the big court. This is the big giant court in this is up in Yolo County, up in Woodland at the time. And so, I moved up from the little boy court, because I had disqualified the judge in this case. And then I had another judge that disqualified, and I ended up in the big boy court, which is the head judge of the whole county. And this is where you got two big jury boxes, room full of attorneys, and it's very intimidating. And here I am on the front. I didn't come with anybody at the time. I was by myself. And the attorney counsel's on the other side. And I say, Your Honor, basically, I objected to the proceedings moving forward. I raised some objections to counsel in the summary judgment. Now, I didn't do good. I got my ass handed to me. I wasn't prepared. And he didn't make a ruling, but I would have lost the hearing. I went out to the clerk's office and I said, can I get what's the latest in the file, the dockets in the file? The clerk did me a favor and, hold on. I was able to retrieve some information in the case that wasn't disclosed to me. So therefore, I went back to the judge and I said, hey, judge, you didn't disclose this to me. You have a duty to disclose this information to me and to the other side. This was not disclosed. I did a written challenge. And the judge, he did? He pulled himself off the case. He was the head judge. He said, you're right. I'm out. I'm out of here. And he removed himself and the case started over again. And I got another chance at the entire hearing. So I was, my own experience. I mean, this happened where the judge didn't disclose something to me and I challenged him on the spot. As soon as I found out about it, boom, challenge came in and he recused himself. So this is something that we're finding out in this potential case where there's not a disclosure potentially from COPA about one of their attorneys' meetings with the court during the trial. So no harm or foul to my friend Mr. Pearce, who I've had on the show a bunch of times. It really wasn't his job to disclose that. He wasn't representing COPA at trial. He was just counsel for them, it looks like, in their patent litigation. So that being said, it's an interest. It may not have been a relevant interest. It may not even be important at all. And that's the point. But the point isn't that it wasn't important. The point is it wasn't disclosed. Okay. The court had a duty to disclose it. COPA had a duty to disclose it. One of those guys should have disclosed it at that point. Given Wright's counsel a decision, said, if you have a problem with this, raise it now or forever hold your peace. And it wasn't done. So we'll see if that's brought up properly. Now we got a lot of things about practice in this trial that are going to have to happen. So how that's going to play out, practice is what they pay the attorneys the big money for, because you could be the smartest guy in the freaking world. And if you don't have experience in practice with law in that court, there's a procedural minefield of nuances and technicalities and elements of law and all these different little nuances and tricks and traps that are there because, attorneys pay a lot of money to go to law school. They pay a lot of money. There's a big business in this. They don't just make it for everybody just to go in there and do it. I mean, there's a practice. They make it practice for a reason. And, so that being said, let's get into this space, see how it goes. So we do a little open forum on the court of public opinion today. Okay. The COPA v. Wright and Satoshi's vengeance. All right. I will see you at the top and on the inside. Recording. Okay. Yeah. I just feel like that's kind of one of those moments right now. We've got this V for Vendetta, that Guy Fawkes character. Remember that guy? He was wearing the hat and the makeup, and it's that fictional character, but he was there for vengeance. And, that was obviously fiction, but, the way he's doing it, it seems like at this point is through lawfare, potentially through the court of a public opinion. And that's why I want to have this space, because here we are, just regular people in the court of public opinion. We don't work for him or for any of these other people, in corporate corporate interests, or even if we do, I mean, I don't, but even if you do, so what? You're just here to share your own public opinion, your thoughts on the matter, so that we can get the message out there, So, okay, we got some people up on the stage. Everybody's coming up. Good, nice. Okay, we got Casey, Alex, BSV Panama, Ray. Go ahead, Casey.
We're up 2.4% on Craig's lawsuit news too. So
2.4% up on
Don't
what?
jinx it. Don't jinx it. We're gonna crash. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, so before we move on from, you guys were just talking about something, and I think I kind of missed this because now I'm seeing some posts talking about dinners. Oh, these BSVers are obsessed with people having dinner, and it was like in response to this Sarah, Professor, whatever her name is, being at this really old meeting they had back in the day with all the BTC Core people. But now you guys are talking about, I think I totally missed, but now I'm picking up on Judge Meller had a dinner with a COPA lawyer. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So what happened was I have a duty to talk about this because this actually happened on one of my shows. Okay. So what happened is that I met with Mr. Pearce, who at the time of meeting with him, I had 3 shows with him. I had no knowledge of him working for COPA. I did, not that I have a problem with that. I'm not against it. And nor did he have a duty to tell me that, he didn't really, but I just didn't know he was their attorney at the time. But it's come out later that he actually is an attorney for COPA and was at that time. So he was going, he had and I don't know if it was when he first had dinner with Meller, he was an attorney for COPA, but he definitely had dinner with Meller. He admitted that. And I don't know if he was their attorney then or not. Okay. But then it was definitely, while the case was going on, he went to the IP conference. It was an IP event with about 20 attorneys in the room, and then Justice Miller up there, and there's pictures of it. And then he went out inside and met with him and talked to him. There's pictures of that as well. And he admitted it on my show. So that's not a problem, but what's a problem is not disclosing it, that, hey, by the way, I met with one of the COPA attorneys and during the case outside of the courtroom. That's what I'm saying, that the court has a duty to tell the everybody in the trial that. What was said may have been nothing. It doesn't matter that it was nothing. What matters is that the other side, like Craig and everybody, has to have an opportunity to object to that.
Right, like even jury, theoretically, not even only the defendant, right? But
yeah.
Somebody anybody could be like, wait a second.
This happens all the time in court, and I've seen it many times myself, where a totally innocent thing happens, and it may be completely innocent, and I'm not at all saying that it was malicious, but an innocent thing happens, like, oh shoot, by the way, I actually just ran into so-and-so, he's an attorney for the other side at this event. We talked about the case casually, it wasn't anything serious, but I just am disclosing it to everybody now. You guys can object. If you want to challenge that, make it now, otherwise forever hold your peace. That has to be on the record. I don't remember hearing that in the case. I don't remember him saying that, so that seems to be what Craig is really, really raising right now. He's very frustrated about that. He says, I wish you would have told me that you were meeting with COPA's attorneys. You see, Alex?
Yeah. It's hard to kind of pick up on some of the details sometimes with all the wordiness and the threads, but yeah, I mean that's a pretty interesting detail that I can see anybody raising an eyebrow to, and to downplay it, like, oh, somebody having dinner with somebody is insignificant. Like, what? You can insert anything into a dinner. It's not, and the fact that they didn't disclose it makes you even more suspicious, right?
Yeah, if it's innocent, all the courts does is just disclose it. No big deal. That's it, Right.
People's minds obviously are wander. We all watch movies like, oh, was there a bribe made? Was there just an hour of indoctrination propaganda, laid heavy? Who knows? But I mean, it still seems like kind of basic sort of unfairness.
Well, yeah, and I think what was said by I remember what Mr. Pearce had told me was that I believe that they talked about the Antonopoulos book, Mastering Bitcoin. They definitely talked about Bitcoin, he said. I don't know I can't remember exactly the wording, but he said they talked about that, and I don't know what else, We know that much. But that wasn't in the courtroom. That was on one of my YouTube shows. And I didn't see a problem with that because I didn't, at the time I didn't like, oh, no problem, whatever. Anybody does whatever they're going to do. Just because he's a BTC or he likes BTC Core, that's not a problem. But the only issue is that, wait a second, no, he's actually an attorney for COPA. That's the connection. You follow me? So that's where I was like, wait a second, and I'm just raising that question, and I'm not saying that anything was done wrong, but I'd like to see the court make a ruling on that issue. So hopefully it gets heard. We're gonna know soon about what's going on with this appeal. I think we're gonna know any day now. We're gonna hear something. We're gonna hear something.
Well, did you guys talk yet? I don't know if this space has been going on for very long. There's some new thing filed today or yesterday.
There's a new case filed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks
like
like
a never-ending story, man.
Yeah, it's going to be Wright versus BTC Core, a partnership. Crypto Voyager, what's up, man? You got your hand up.
Yeah, on that dinner thingy, I thought it was with Tufty the cat.
Yeah.
But Tufty the cat is not a lawyer for COPA. He was just a spectator for the court.
Right.
Or did I get that wrong?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought yeah, exactly. There's no problem with that. I agree. But that's not what's come out. If you read the truth machine threads, now again, this is all hearsay, right? Could be totally made up on the internet. But according to the truth machine threads, he's got links to Tufty being a lawyer for COPA.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that's all hearsay. No validation of that. I haven't heard Tufty say, "Oh, yes or no." He didn't deny that or confirm that. So, but
you're talking about some threads that Truth Machine is a Twitter account. Maybe somebody can pin it to the nest because there's a lot of fake news going around, and some of it is even satire, and it's like hard to tell like what's intentionally a joke sometimes.
Oh, and another thing on the dinners. Christian Hansen was hired by N-Chain because of the dinner that he had with the guys from Avex when he kind of like torpedoed that one. So a lot of things can happen in a dinner.
Yeah, and there's some things about Ager. So, there's unanswered questions right now, I think, about Ager Hansen that you bring that up, that like people that we need answers to.
Before we move on to Ager Hansen, can I just clear something up about the David Pearce being COPA's lawyer?
Yeah, please, Alex.
Yeah, so he's not actually part of COPA, but there was another organization that had exactly the same remit, which is to defend crypto from frivolous patent suits and stuff, called Open Crypto Foundation. It was set up in 2020, maybe 2021. And David Pearce is on the website with a director from Square. And Square is a COPA foundation. Now, I think that it is very auspicious that David Pearce was on the same company website as this guy from Square, and Square is a COPA partner. It seems to suggest that David Pearce has the same intentions as COPA, but failed to get the contract signed, and is now basically just doing anything he can to support. I don't know how much that is going to affect the court, but in my view, it's pretty damn serious.
So, did you read the Truth Machine thread about this, Alex? That showed.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I misread that. Then I thought it was on COPA's website.
No, it's confusing because they use basically exactly the same name.
Oh.
It was opencryptofoundation.org. And it's a separate organization to COPA. Both started at around the same time. And COPA is the one that went ahead. Crypto Open Foundation looks like it was shut down. But their website is on Wayback Machine. When that eventually comes back up, you'll be able to check it out.
Wow. Okay, so All right, so we may have the facts wrong here that maybe he's an attorney for a different open patent alliance, not.
Wait, so what if the Wayback Machine attack has to do with all of this now? I'm putting my tinfoil hat on.
What's wrong with the Wayback Machine?
It's been down for like a couple days.
Oh, has it? Damn.
It got hacked, and the hacker left a notification up that said, "See you all guys on haveibeenpwned.com." It's pretty serious because they've been down for so long. They say that no data was corrupted, but I guess we'll find out.
Damn, dude, it's okay. It looks like Face, you got your hand up, buddy. What's going on? Talk to me.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? I just got two questions. First, the lady going to the dinner, that she was supposed to be an expert witness or whatever. But if you're gonna be, was she a Bitcoin expert witness? Because if she's like a Bitcoin expert witness or blockchain, you would assume they're gonna be going in the same they're gonna be running in the same circle. So that's kind of moot,
She is
right?
a cryptography. She's a cryptography expert witness.
Okay. All right. All right. So okay. And also, do you know if if Craig is going to be representing himself for this new lawsuit?
I think Craig still identifies himself as a man, so he's gonna be representing himself and instead of herself. That's one, and we don't know.
Well, we know that on this new case right now, at least we know this much. It says BTC versus Wright versus BTC Core, a partnership. Wright, Craig Stephen, REV, doctor, litigant in person. So we do know that he's definitely representing himself on this new case. And he's suing BTC Core, a partnership, and Square Up, a partner. Square Up Europe.
I bet he fixes his own car too. Probably his own dentist.
He's his own dentist. A reverend, REV. I think that means reverend. Rev doctor. REV doctor. Interesting. Rev doctor. Yeah, we don't know for sure if he's representing himself on the appeal right now, Face. So we don't know. We haven't confirmed that. We believe he is.
Is like Reverend?
Go ahead.
No, like a play on. That's like me being like, I'm being accused of murdering two people, and I'm like, I'm a soccer coach for for kids in need, and I serve soup for the homeless. You know what I mean?
You're doing a good deed, huh? So that helps to make up the public opinion for you. Who do we have? Who do we have up? I wanted to do the court of a public opinion space. So this is just about everybody sharing what they're finding on this. Anything they want to bring up, go ahead. Oh, I got Craig Mason up here, man. I've been chatting with him, dude, about some crazy things that have been going on, dude. Not wacky things, dude. I don't even know if I want to talk about it. So maybe two out there. But Craig was going deep on the freaking on all the posts. Well, I don't know if it was him, but somebody was doing a lot of research about the 4chan or the 8chan boards and all those references for the past 5 years with the BSV and Bitcoin. I mean, it's super deep research. It's a lot of research somebody's done, making all these connections, and I don't have enough knowledge to talk about it, but it's fun to look at for sure. It's entertaining. It's like these connections between Craig and all these posts from 2018 and 2019, and I don't know, dude. Deep research. Craig maybe wants to talk about it. Who's that? Is that him? Oh, Crypto Spartacus. Yeah, what's up, dude? Crypto Spartacus. We had you on the thanks for hosting that space this week. I had a great time on there. And it looks like you got trolled. I don't know if did you get trolled and attacked pretty hard? I don't know if you did or not. I was like kind of watching a little bit, but
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. Did you notice the post Craig made about how he had bugged some of the documents that he'd given to Kristen Nager-Hansen, and that he claims to have proof that Kristen Nager-Hansen sent those documents to COPA's lawyers?
Yeah, I saw that. The web bug. Can you explain that? What is the web bug he talked about?
So, I mean, he's saying that he implanted this bug into the documents to trace what Kristen Nager-Hansen had done with it, and that he's saying that he has proof that Kristen Nager-Hansen sent those documents to COPA's lawyers.
Whoa. How the heck does he get that into an appeal?
Well, I don't know how such a web bug would work exactly, but I would presume that he has some sort of digital record of how those documents were handled after he handed them off to Kristen Nager-Hansen.
Yeah, so I wonder if he raised that web bug in his Wright 11, because the Wright 11 was so extensive we really never got a chance to read all of it. But maybe it was in there, and if it was in there and overlooked, then that's an appealable issue. It's a fact that could be brought up. I bet you it was all, who knows whether it was in there or not. Do you know if it was in Wright 11? Crypto Spartacus or anybody else?
Oh, I don't know.
No. Face, your hands up.
My hand is not up, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's definitely the kind of stuff that I was expecting to see in this appeal. That is exciting. I was really happy to read that about the web bots that he put in those documents. That proves the bad actor with Kristen Nager-Hansen. So
Yeah, the web bug, a web bug. He's
simplify web bots.
Yeah, not to be confused with web bot. Andy,
Yes.
you're up, man. I just saw you came up on stage. How you doing, my man? Andy Rowe. Andy used to run the Satoshi account. I know that on X. So the Twitter account. I remember, or I think he did. I don't know if it's true or not. But then they hacked it. Somebody hacked it back into it, I guess. So go ahead and chime in if anybody wants to open forum. So if anybody has anything to bring up, do it.
But it's kind of like what you said, Gavin, right? Like, if it's not in the original case, he can't bring it up. Whatever bug he put on it, he can't bring it up in appeals, regardless.
Can't bring it up on appeal, right? It had to been in there. So,
But yeah, it's kind of like it gives me the vibes of the white paper watermark. I don't know.
well, the watermark apparently was in the case. Remember, he talked about the steganography and the watermark during the case. We never got to see every single thing. So, but he hasn't talked about that on appeal apparently. So, dude, it's I don't know, dude. I'm hung up on the Madden report, man, because it's Madden that is the reason that COPA won. The Madden report staying in the case and Madden completely being allowed to bring all the evidence forward. That's why COPA won. So that would have to be attacked on appeal. That would have to be somehow challenged if he has any really a strong chance of winning this case at all. Because without the Madden report, then I don't think COPA would have enough evidence to win.
I think it's also the problem of Craig's own lawyer or Craig's own experts agreeing with the Madden report.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is that remember how Craig, well, apparently they didn't even challenge the Madden report at all. Yeah, they didn't even dispute it. Remember the day of testimony, when Jonathan Hoff came up to talk, it was and then COPA, he was ready to challenge the expert that was against Madden, and then Craig's attorney said, "Oh, we submit. We're not even going to bring that guy." And then Huff was like, "Oh, what? I'm ready to challenge that guy. You mean what?" Huff was so flustered at that point, dude. And I thought there was some strategy going on there, dude. But apparently it was just a fumble the ball. Unless there's
messages. He posted those messages with him as solicitors, showing that his experts weren't following his instructions as well.
Yeah. And that's, you know, man, it's tough, man. You know, you got a really tough procedure on appeal to do all this stuff right. To make it in compliance with the court rules and follow everything. The only candle that he might be able to raise is the Disability Act. Because if you have a disability, I have a good friend as an attorney out in California here. He's been an attorney a long time, and now he's going blind. He's really getting old. And so he has a legal disability about his blindness. And he's not fully blind, but he can't see very well. So he applies to the court about his disability. And then they give him lenience and they say, oh, your brief is all screwed up. It's like freaking, you know, not right. It's written like not proper because his vision isn't good and he hasn't read. So they give him exceptions and they say, oh, we'll give you more time. We'll give you lenience on not following the procedures because of this issue. That is a possibility. If he can raise that about his disability, if it's possible, they might give him leniency. Otherwise, he's got to meet the same standards as everybody else. Sorry, just because you're representing yourself doesn't matter. You have to meet, you know, everything that a full world-class attorney would do. So I want to hear from Andy Rowe. What's he up to?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, what's up, Andy?
I'm at the bar today, so I don't have long, but I was going to try to listen while I'm running my errands.
What's your bar? What's your bar about? People just drink, hang out? Can I go?
Yeah, it's a live music venue in Dayton, Ohio called Blind Box.
Nice.
So that takes up most of my time, that and my kids. But you guys were referencing documents that were pinging from the COPA lawyer's office. And that was brought up during trial, but I don't recall what the ruling at the time was. But
are you talking about the documents from the rebuttal evidence to Madden?
I don't know which documents specifically Craig's talking about, but I know that he knows his stuff when it comes to document control and being able to. It fits his modus operandi for him to have something like something that would, you know, sort of call back to a home server and indicate where documents were being accessed. So
the web bug.
that's right.
Okay, so you believe it was brought up then at trial. It seems like I kind of remember it. I mean, I'd have to go back again. It does sound like he complained a lot about Ager Hansen. Remember in the trial of fooling with his documents. So now, if he had that proof that was shown in there at the trial and it was completely overruled, that's a judicial error. It could be a judicial error. Total judicial error. Dude, what's up? We got Ray. I don't know if Ray, you want to chime in? I don't know if you haven't really been on. This is the first time I've had you up on any of spaces. What's up, man? Can you talk?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good. What's up, Ray? Good to see you, man. You want to introduce yourself or just be casual? That's fine. So.
Yeah, no, I'm just a guy who used to work in TradFi, been in the crypto and Bitcoin space for a few years now. But you know, I figured out the Craig thing pretty quickly once I fell down that rabbit hole, and I've been following the case and everything that's been percolating since. A couple of thoughts I've had here has been interesting about the HBO movie, and I see there was a little bit of a diatribe at the Amsterdam conference this morning. And I just get the sense that more and more people are looking into the Craig Wright thing. And it's really not that difficult to figure out if you keep an open mind and you look at kind of the whole history of everything. So I get a sense that maybe they're afraid more and more people are starting to wake up to it. So we see this other push of anti-Craig stuff out there. And then on the web bug stuff, I think that's really interesting because whether or not I think if it's been previously noted in the earlier case, I think kind of what C.S. Tomaniga is saying is that it's proving that Ager Hansen kind of showed the evidence to the other side before the case. So that might be a whole new like layer that he can get that evidence back in a sense that it's not so much the WEG bug, but it's the behavior of Ager Hansen. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I know the U.S. court system and the English court system does have differences, but it's just amazing. Kind of, Craig has so much stuff up his sleeve, and it's just more and more stuff coming out. I see kind of a groundswell starting to happen here, so it'll be interesting what happens over the next year, I think.
Yeah, groundswell. That's a good analogy, Ray. And one of the things you mentioned there about Ager Hansen that we can't forget about was the fact that the courts that same court already issued a contempt order against Ager Hansen on a collateral case, a parallel case. Now it's not the same case, but it's parallel. Okay, so it's referenceable, it's judicially noticeable on appeal, and maybe that's the connection right there. Look,
Yeah.
This guy is already in contempt of this court. Here you go. Now look at this. That's it could be, it'd have to be in the foundational trial documents. It had to have been in there. If it was in there, okay, yeah, he's got a connection right there between the Ager Hansen bad actor connection and then the web bug. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ager Hansen already did some time in prison. Didn't he relate it to his N-chain stuff? Whether he was like smashing drives or stealing data or something like that? I may have my wires crossed on why he went to prison.
He was found in contempt and sentenced. I don't know if he's in there or not, but I know that they sentenced him, or they said he was due for X amount of time. So is he in there now or free? I'm
not sure, but I think if Craig can eventually lay out basically this, to use Meller's phrase, a conspiracy against him, where insiders at N-Chain, especially in the executive suite, were working with outside parties who were suing Craig, he can really paint a picture on appeal that is very hard to kind of discharge.
With the contempt order against Ager Hansen, and then the connection between these documents, which now are web bugged apparently, but it have to be in the trial documents. That's the key. He cannot bring up new stuff now. So I hope that he knows that.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting too. I think with the UK court system, right? Didn't they submit all the evidence and then they just had witnesses in the?
Yeah, that's the thing. We never got to see was it 12,000 pages of evidence or something? I don't know. We never saw that. We saw very limited.
There's a lot we don't know, and that Craig does know.
Right. We don't know. We have no idea what was in Wright 11. I never saw Wright 11. I only saw bits and pieces of it, but we saw the court's rulings. We saw whatever BTC Defense Fund they were posting. Remember, they would post the court's ruling every time it was in their favor. That's the stuff I read. The whole case file was pretty much sealed, apparently.
Yeah, so it's just going to get more and more interesting as things start to unfold.
Yeah, good. It really is. Yeah, so looks like we got Friday. Well, I don't know what's going on with Alex. What's up with the are you there, Alex? Are you how's everything going with? Well, usually you had a space on a Friday, and it seems like it's on hold right now. And my heart goes out to what's going on with Zack, and I see what you guys are everybody's doing and supporting it. So, is there anything we can do to support, raise awareness or support that situation with Zack?
Thanks for asking. Yeah. So, well, just first to the spaces that we do on Fridays, we're just kind of taking a little break from that and figuring out how we're gonna sort of maybe restructure it a little bit, or but bringing them back soon. I think Crypto Spartacus is going to get involved and help out, maybe a few other people. But no, I know everybody looks forward to those spaces we do, as I do. So, and Zack is such a huge part of it, though. So it's it's going to be hard to do it without him. But we expect him to be back with us. Hopefully sooner than later. I mean, he's got a long road to recovery still. He's not out of the woods. There's been some updates floating around. Some people may have seen, but he's made a little bit of progress. in the last few days, but it's sort of an up and down kind of thing. And, you know, he's still like on life support, on a ventilator, on and off, or I think he's still mostly on the ventilator. And it's just a really tough situation, but some cool stuff to note, like Hooligan started a little trend that's catching on, hashtag 39 for Zack. People are doing like push-ups every day, just to kind of, you know, put some positive energy out there, and, you know, kind of like take it as a opportunity to better ourselves. You know, it's like, as far as what we can do for him or for Justin, I've been thinking about that, and there'll be an idea coming together soon. I don't really have anything to say right now, but definitely soon, like, as you know, Zack's sort of like long-term care plan, you know, plays out, and he'll be transitioning from the ICU room he's been in, to a different room where, you know, we can send flowers and that kind of stuff. So yeah, everybody just keep Zack wins in your thoughts and prayers. He still needs it. He's fighting for his life, and we need our boy. So he's, you know, one of my best friends, and I know he's made a big impact in the Bitcoin scene, and in a lot of people's, you know, just in general. So yeah, we love you, Zack. If he ever comes back and listens to, well, when he comes back, and if he listens to this, yeah. So everybody keep your positive energy going out to Zack. Thanks, Gavin, for you know, doing these spaces.
Yeah, you're welcome. Definitely. When people come together, I'll share a story about a guy who actually, a very close friend of mine. Before we go to you, 369 BSV, I want to hear from you. But before we do that, a really quick, a story that I had similar to this, where last year, one of my best friends, super smart lawyer, badass, just fighting, doing everything in peak health. He's in his 40s, totally healthy. He flat out just died. And it was one of those moments. He was at his office working. He knocked out dead. Somebody came by. They found him dead. They immediately rushed him into the thing, and they did some sort of thing on him, you know, with the sounds on the chest and all that. And they pumped some life into him, just in enough time to revive him. And this was on like a Monday. And then we had this meeting on Tuesday that he used to host. He hosts this meeting on Tuesday, like about law and stuff. And it was like a class he did. And so all the people who would go to that, they found out about this. And there's like 50 people that go to this meeting on Tuesday, and they all found out. And then everybody like said a prayer and gave positive vibes. And we heard that he died. Like, he died, but he came back. And it was one of these back to life moments. We said a prayer, and we didn't know that he came back at this point. We thought he had passed away. So it was like very sad. And so we said these positive vibes and like send some good vibes out there. And then like the next day we find out, wait, he's been revived. He's actually fine. Well, not just fine. He had to recover, but he recovered in about 3 months. He was back at it, you know? So the power of positive prayer and sending the good vibes out there for Zack, like on something like this, works.
Yeah,
It works.
absolutely. And the power of anecdotal stories like yours and the one you gave earlier, not to go back too quickly off of this, but you know, you told some quick story of like how you were able to get a judge to step down or something, and then like people hearing that and being able to visualize it's actually very powerful. And so just the way you just described your story and took my emotions from all the way down being sad that your friend died, and then like I'm all the way celebrating again. It's like, you know, wow, that's really powerful, and it helps me even, you know, just kind of like have a better outlook when I'm just thinking about Zack. So yeah, it's amazing. He's a fighter. He, you know, they can clinical you know, descriptions of situations can be very like dry and cold, and then people try to like, you know, like make sense of it or cope with it or whatever, but it's like you never know, man. You know, like the fighting spirit within us all, I think it gives us the ability to really change and direct our life and do with our energy what we intend, if we so set out to do that with strong enough willpower. And Zack is such an amazing person with such strong willpower and so disciplined that I can't wait to give him a hug. And I firmly believe we're going to be you know, having these conversations with him again soon. So
Dude, we will 100%.
Yeah, but not to minimize what he's been through is really serious. Like, I mean, it was a pretty bleak few days there for a bit when I was hearing of everything, and it's just like it is a miracle. So miracles are real, and Zack wins.
Zach wins. That's the end of the day. He's going to win. He will
Yeah.
win. And
Go out and do some good in the world. What a great message.
what a great message. Yeah. Touch some
perfect.
grass.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you, man. We had this bleak story with my buddy, and it was just we all came together like 50 of us for saying a prayer, like basically that he passed away. It was like, it was horrible. And then the next thing you know, we hear that he's been revived, and it's just like, wow. And then it just took recovering. It took time, but over 3 months, 4 months, he's back at it. And that's right where Zach's gonna be. He's gonna be back at it too. He'll be on his road to 100%.
A lot of people come back way stronger after a near-death experience too. So maybe he'll have some amazing stories to tell us.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah. Okay, Scott, 369 BSV. What's up? Let's go over to you, buddy. How you doing?
Hi, Gavin. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for sharing that new case. I just saw that. What?
Yeah,
Yeah, Wright versus BTC
yeah.
Core.
I believe it's a. Yeah, I think it's a champagne passing off case, like he's previously been saying. So I think he's going ahead with that. I just wanted to add two things as well that he was talking about earlier. Ager Hansen was sentenced to 10 months in prison by a UK judge, and he was also made bankrupt in the UK. So the likelihood of him ever returning to the UK is highly unlikely. I believe he's probably hiding out somewhere in Norway. And the other thing as well was regarding the I think it's like the web bug where you place a single white pixel. When you place a single white pixel onto a document and then it sends a message back to the server with an IP address and things like that. That was discussed in the court. And I believe part of the thing was that they said their networks were completely secure or was unsecure. I can't remember which one it was, but it encouraged me to actually go outside to Bird and check the Wi-Fi to see if what they were saying was true, and it was opposite to what they said in the court. Whether that had been changed or they'd updated it or they'd improved security, but it just seemed a bit unlikely to me. So I think that was brushed over, and I think that was obviously in CS11 as well. But it was discussed in court. It wasn't just sort of brushed over.
And when you say though, like you made a post about the Wi-Fi picture, can you explain what significance of that? What the significance?
Yeah, I believe it was something to do with the Wi-Fi was open. It was an open network, and then when I went there, it was closed. But it was I don't think it was a proper security. I think it was just a password security rather than I'm not sure, but I remember in the court case what was said by Craig was confirmed via me going there, because if I didn't really understand that part properly, so I just, like a simpleton, went out and checked the Wi-Fi signal myself, sort of monkey see, monkey do. But I remember it corroborating, and I remember speaking in the space about it, and people saying, "Oh, well, that corroborates what Craig is saying." So I can't remember which way it was. Either it was unsecured or it was secured, but I forget, to be honest with you. There's so much information.
So the web
with
bug,
the whole thing.
It was brought up at the trial, for sure.
Yeah, it was information that Craig gave Ager Hansen, and he put this sort of it's a cookie. It's a tracker cookie. That's what it is. That was put onto the document, so that whenever that document is opened through Craig's servers, if they're connected to the internet, he would be able to see the IP address, the computer terminal, general information about what program was opening it. And he said that 24 hours after he'd handed the information to Ager Hansen, it was opened in the Bird offices. And obviously Bird completely refuted that, and they sort of silver-tongued their way around it, obviously. And I remember going out, checking the Wi-Fi and being like, aha, okay, we've found another thing that Craig was saying correct.
Did they bring up the Ager Hansen contempt case at all? at trial?
They didn't bring up the case. I know Craig said, I believe this was on the second to last day, or maybe the last day of cross-examination before they brought him back. He said something about how there was criminal cases currently in process with N-Chain, criminal cases because of Ager Hansen and his goons entered the N-Chain office, gaffer taped cameras, physically removed staff from the building, broke doors to access server terminals and things like that, and yeah, basically were completely unsupervised or unsurveillanced for a set amount of time. And obviously that could have been when either information was stolen or information was breached. But and I believe the 10-month sentence in prison for Ager Hansen was for property theft and information theft or something along those lines. It was due to equipment that he had with N-Chain that he never gave back to N-Chain, and I think part of the reason why he never gave it back to N-Chain was obviously because of, if he did, then I'm guessing they would have been able to see exactly what he'd been up to via those laptops and different equipment that he had. I want to say it was a phone and a laptop, but please don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But it was basically, yeah, I'm guessing obviously N-Chain will have certain systems within the equipment that they give to their employees that will either record certain data or would be able to shed a little bit more light onto what Ager Hansen had been up to.
Do you remember how Ager Hansen got into the picture exactly? How did he get into such a great high-paying job as a CEO of that big company so fast?
Some of the stories I heard on the grapevine was that Ager met Craig, I believe it was at a MasterCard event, or there was also a horse racing event, I want to say Aintree, and he was sort of very forward, very sort of pushy about who he was and things and what he could do. And he obviously knew a lot about Craig previously, so it was as if he had approached him. How he actually came to get the job, I don't know, but I've heard on the grapevine he definitely made sure he was in the right places to get that job.
Did the trial, do you remember the trial talking about Craig being roofied at that horse racing event with GHB? Was that where I heard it about? I remember hearing this somewhere, and I'm trying to think, like, where did was that a trial?
No, I remember I don't think that was Craig. I remember there was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, that Ager Hansen got a secret recording of at a dinner, possibly. And there was a recording of Ager Hansen that sort of showed N-Chain was correct, or showed some. Whoa, what was it? It was what was the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name either. Sorry for this.
Go ahead.
Kyle Roach.
Kyle Roach.
Kyle Roach, that's the one. And I believe Ager Hansen provided that information to N-Chain, which helped N-Chain out, which then obviously put him in good favor with them. And I believe he was potentially roofied at that event, and that's how he divulged that information. But I don't know if that was ever fully confirmed, so I don't want to say something that's not true, but I believe that was the story. And there was some throwaway comment that was made or something about it, and it was sort of said without being said, but that was obvious what happened.
Yeah, it seems like there's some unanswered questions as to how he was able to get into that position of power, who he convinced to get there, and how. I mean, that seems to be unanswered. I know some people Jack was asking me about that, and I thought I remember hearing that he roofied Craig at the horse racing track at the MX event. And I thought that was it. And then Craig at the time of his, and this is totally could be my imagination, but I thought I remember hearing this, and it was him at the horse racing track, and that's where they became buddies And Craig had a great time. He was drinking and on roofies, and then they became best friends. I could just see him like arm around him, like we're new best friends. That's just my thinking, where my mind is going with it, but that's totally imagination. So
So did you watch that whole Kyle Roche undercover video debacle?
no, what did it say?
Well, a lot of us kind of observed that just via Twitter. And I think just from that, Christian was able to really position himself as a whistleblower that was coming out to expose all these crypto crimes and illegal litigation, things. So that's probably how he got his foot in the door, is just he was part of that exposing the Roche law firm. So I don't know. That's just my observation on how he got to that position of power.
Okay, now I have to ask, and I don't see him on here, but I keep getting messages here on my X account. I was a couple of people, I'm not going to name them, but I got videos about apparently Jimmy was working at he says he's worked at Blockstream for the last 7 years, and he this could be
That's just troll.
That's a joke.
Yeah, he's trolling.
Okay,
pretty sure. I don't think anybody would hire that guy.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking. I thought he sent me a message saying, "Oh, I was at Blockstream for 7 years," and it seems sincere, but the guy's he's a good. I guess he's a good jokester about things. Apparently, that's kind of what I was thinking. Good. Base Ray BSV Panama. We haven't heard from you. What's up, man? You want to chime in?
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, everybody.
Good.
Good. Thank you. How are you?
Good
to be here. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah.
Well, I just have a comment about the general perspective here. It looks like the proverbial SHIT hitting the fan, and I think it's great because all the coming together now, and the exposure. Craig Wright exposing everything, and the opposition trying to fight him to the end, and to make him invisible. To try again to make him invisible through this HBO documentary and all the controversy and everything else. Is actually playing. It's very good for us. I mean, for BSV, for Craig Wright in the end, because it will make more and more people know about all the shenanigans that have been going on behind the scene, and with all what is going on with the lawsuits and everything else. This is a fantastic opportunity for a lot of people to get to know what's really happening. And in the end, this is a win for the truth, which is what we are after, And then in the end, is gonna win. The truth always comes out, always wins in the end. So we should look at all this with a lot of positivity. And on that note, I would like to add again a thought for Zack. And since you have mentioned that you all made a prayer for this lawyer, let's make one here. I would like to invite Casey maybe to do it, or you, or if not, I will say a few words.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have no objection to that. I would love you to say a few words in a prayer for Zack. Send him some good vibes, please.
Okay, so let's connect to the greater power, the universal power. Well, let's not necessarily call it God, whatever, whatever your confession, whatever your religion, whatever. But the greater power that holds the truth, holds the light, holds the real life as it is, with all the natural law, everything that is in line with this power. And connect with that, and send this thought to Zack, because this is the healing power that is going to help Zack to come out from this situation. Minute by minute, every second that goes by, he's getting better. Just hold that thought in connection with the greater power that is out there, and working through his body to heal his body and make him whole again.
Yeah, minute by minute, every hour, every second that goes by, he's getting better.
Yes, that's it.
That's
Thank you.
minute by minute, every second, every hour, he's getting better. That's good.
Exactly.
So it is. It will be done.
So it is. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice. Well done. Thank you. But way to go, BSP panel. That's really inspiring. I appreciate it. If anybody else wants to chime up on the space, go ahead and come up and feel free to raise your hand or come in here and open forum. Let's see. Back to who do we got? What do we have? One of the things that, who was it? You mentioned the Ager Hansen stuff. If you guys have been reading this guy's post, man, and with CS Tominaga, he's really on a mission, and it reminds me of the movie. If you guys haven't seen it, V for Vendetta, it just kind of reminds me of that. This is not. It doesn't seem accidental. It does seem very planned and calculated. There's a lot of material, a lot of content that is unimaginable how complex it is, and I can't imagine a guy just putting it, sitting there just coming up with all this stuff on a whim. It does seem very, very, very planned and calculated. So, there's something bigger going on here. And I think if we have a space like this, we could just get the narrative out there to expose more people to the reality of this whole situation. That's why I kind of put it as Satoshi's vengeance, like Satoshi's vision, Satoshi's vengeance. Like that seems to be where we're at now. We're having a Casey. She dropped down. Oh no. Let's see. So Scott, what you seem to be an insider. So what could you share with us, man? Is there anything else that you're following this so close? So what else is on your mind? I added you back up, Casey.
I wouldn't say I'm an insider. I follow it closely just because of obviously the court reporting sort of. I don't want to. It gave me a unique position to look at it from compared to others who were looking outside. So I have been following it closely, but I'm quite interested in the Wayback Machine being hacked. That was used so much within the court case. It was a joke how much it was used, really. So I find that interesting. It would be interesting to see when it goes back up.
Do you think it's part of the conspiracy? Do you think they took it down partly because of the case, or what?
I think what you've shown with anonymous speech and the links behind anonymous speech being involved with Kraken and the Celsius fraud and things like that, it really wouldn't surprise me. It'd be interesting to see who the owners are of Wayback Machine, what type of attack it was. Is it sort of like a large level attack? Is it small level? What are they actually gaining from it? Is it just all the data? Is that data being put out on the dark web for people to buy as credit cards, or is it just been taken by an individual for specific purposes? I just think with the amount of usage and how it's sort of pulling people up after the case, Zuko saying he didn't know about it, and then Wayback Machine finding out he was talking about it loads, and lots of different people just sort of trying to change the past, and then we're going back and going, well, hang on, this is what you actually said at the time, so how are you saying that now? It's just showing perjury. It's just showing depths of perjury throughout the case. A lot of people just, I don't remember, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, and we're finding out every day that what they're saying is just exactly. It's ironic. They say one of the witnesses was staged. It seems like every single witness on COPA's side has been staged, whether that be at a dinner, private dinners, whether that be at conferences. It doesn't matter where they're staged, but they all seem to have the same goal together. There's not much independence, and there doesn't seem to be much expertise.
And what about these other witnesses? I mean, remember how we talked about this at the trial. You got Back, he's one of the members of COPA. He's a board member of COPA. Remember the guy from Square? He's another guy. He's on the board of COPA. And then now Meiklejohn, she's there at the dinner with COPA. All those, well, I guess they weren't COPA at the time, the BTC Core. So where does the line stop where we've got independent people? And then Madden, they wrote the report for Madden. Where does the court draw the line on this appeal, or say, look, where's your independent people in this case? to bring forward experts.
Well, I think that's the crucial part of the appeal, because of the original judge was recused by COPA because of having previously worked with nChain. I don't know on what degree or how much they worked with nChain, but they'd worked, and it allowed them to get Judge Mellor in. And obviously, Judge Mellor had filed against Craig in a previous case, which Craig won on appeal. So who you gonna put your money on? You're gonna put it on the person who already has ruled against Craig. So I think, being that Shoesmiths, I said throughout that trial, practically every day, Shoesmiths are supremely confident, or they're supremely just doing nothing. Basically, they, the number levels. There were so many Bird and Birds solicitors in there. Every row was filled, and then there was 4 or 5 Shoesmiths, and that's obviously shown that Shoesmiths just wasn't doing what Craig wanted to happen. Be it the anonymous speech logins, be it lots and lots of different things that should have been brought up at trial. Even the security reports of Craig having his house swept and finding bugs and recording devices, that's crucial evidence in the building of the picture of somebody who has been at the level of corporate espionage for years. So there was a lot of things that were missed. I think a lot of things were put into the actual case that we all couldn't see, and I think there's good reason why we wasn't able to see it all, because there's a lot of smart people in BSV, and there's a lot of people that are picking things apart, whether it be unsigned integers. That was a bit of a shock moment for me. I was like, oh my god, Craig got a technical question wrong about Bitcoin, and then I go on the spaces and everyone's like, well, actually no, the way he phrased it is correct, if not the exact way it would be phrased in the textbook. But I think it was Zemgal who said that, or what's the gentleman's name who does S-Crypt? I forget his name.
Xiaowei Liu.
Xiaowei Liu, that's the one. Xiaowei Liu also said about how Craig was right about his definition of unsigned integers. It was the way that Bird and Bird actually, oh, you're wrong, it's not this way. So I think they don't want that information out there because of, like Craig's doing now, releasing all the information, and people are having these, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. I think if we had the full evidence and the transcripts and everything, I think we would just all pick it apart, and it would just really show the depths of corruption that have happened. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah, Tufty, Mr. Pearce, he said that was a big high five moment in the courtroom when the unsigned integer thing was said by Craig, and they had one of the guys there from BTC Core in the background, and Craig got that wrong. And so you're saying that wasn't wrong. You're saying.
Yeah, well, that's what they said, and it was a high five moment. It was like they were all buzzing when they went out for lunch over that, and then I was a little bit deflated by that. I was a bit like, oh no, I would have got that wrong, but I'm not a technical expert on Bitcoin. Surely that should be something that Craig should get right. And then listening through the spaces and seeing other technical people who truly know the depths of Bitcoin, like Xiaowei Liu and people like that, who are extremely professional in their Bitcoin research and what the work that they've done, they were saying, well, actually, no, Craig's right. He just gave an autistic answer. He didn't give the exact answer it should have been. It's larger rather than, I think goes from a negative to a positive or something. Rather, I don't know, if someone's technical in there can explain that. But I remember it coming out in spaces, and Zack also was discussing this as well and saying, well, actually, Craig is right. He's just said it in a roundabout way, as he commonly does. So I found that quite an interesting point, and I found the spaces so integral in helping me actually report as a complete novice, really, and very unexperienced in that field, because I'm coming back with information from the case, and then the spaces are coming back with information that was just so instrumental in me understanding the case, because it showed me, oh, Bird and Bird, they're saying that to sort of misdirect the truth. Then they're not necessarily lying, but they're presenting the facts in a way that it's leading to an opposite alternative. The constant, you're a liar and a fraud. Well, he's never been criminally convicted of lying or fraud or any type of fraud. So that in itself was an illegal act from them. And that for me was just the, you know, the cancel culture of repeating something over and over and over again like a mantra, so it just becomes thing. That's why I kept mocking it. That's why I kept mocking Hoff's "you're a liar and a fraud, you're a liar and a fraud." And I think at one point I was making a joke about it, and the next day he actually stopped saying that and he completely changed it up. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. But
two things I want to discuss before I go to you, Alex, really quick on this. Or yeah, Alex, if you want to chime in, but let me just make a point here if I forget. And that is the okay. There's a oh my gosh, now I lost my train of thought. Take over, Alex.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
That's right. No, now you know I got it. He just made it. Scott just made a really good point. Maybe a lot of people don't remember, but there was, when the trial was going on, Zack was hosting the spaces every single day. And this is like this could be one of those some moments where we got this guy who was he was leading all those things, man, every day. Remember that? Like there was what, 1,000 people on there or something. They were huge, and and then he would 369 BSV. He would have a break and he would go on the space. Remember that? And he would chime in and say, "Hey guys, here's what's going on in the courtroom right now," and it was all on Zack's space. Am I wrong, Alex? Is that how it went down? Like,
yeah, no, and he even has if you scroll back through Zack's account, you can find the videos. He did a few before he launched the spaces, he would, or afterwards, I think it was like recap videos, or some he did it in the morning before he'd launch the space. He would like summarize the day before. And it was funny because I noticed at the time I wasn't really aware of Crypto Spartacus's video vlog series. He was kind of doing the same thing on YouTube, just doing summaries. But yeah, Zack's were great, and that was really interesting to see all sorts of people. Like, I mean, there was a lot of BTC people coming through that room. Obviously, there's like you can see now 24 other listeners listening anon right now. But at the time, I mean, usually these spaces tend to be like half of the listeners are anonymous. It's just that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but it's credit to Zack for hosting those, because I mean, that's what you were talking about, right, Scott? Like you'd come out and then you'd talk to Zack.
Yeah,
I remember, and I was listening in too.
Yeah,
right.
It was such unsociable hours as well. I think he was getting up like 3 a.m, 4 a.m, something like that, just to come on and do the spaces because of what court was starting at 9:10 UK time. I'm not sure what that is on the west or east coast, but I know it wasn't. I thought I was up early, but the guys in
we were up
America
at like 2 in the morning.
early.
It was super early out here.
Yeah, crazy time. So respect for him for doing that every day. And like I said, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him, because there was so much information that I learned through the spaces coming in saying, oh, he said this, and this, which I didn't really understand. And people were explaining it to me saying, oh, brilliant. Yeah, well, that works out because of this, and this. And I'm like, okay, I understand it now. So it was great to have that bounce back of information between, a huge community of people. And then obviously myself as Mr. Novice, who was close to the court, going down there and just trying to give as much information for everyone. So yeah, it was very helpful.
And
always
so many people, thanks to Zack, and also hat tip to Alex Fauvel and Jerry Chan, the three of those guys. I think it was the three of them all taking turns passing the baton around between them doing the oration, right? Like live, freaking hearing it in one ear and just spitting it out immediately as it came out, so that people who didn't have access to the link, which was a lot of people, I imagine that there were more people who heard those trials in those spaces than were actually watching because they got their own link.
Oh, so for sure. Way more.
Pretty big for awareness.
Those were huge.
I think there was something like over 1,000 links requested. I remember the court saying it was the highest amount of streams that they'd. No, sorry, it was the tech advisors that I spoke to, because I used to sit right next to where the tech board was, and I'd speak to them every morning and go, "Hey, how you doing, guys?" Rah, rah, rah. And they said this is the most amount of streams that they've had for a court case that they've ever proceeded over, and they've ever done the things. And it was actually testing. It was quite a good test for them to be able to literally have that many people watching a stream, because it's a civil court. You know, it's not a criminal court where you really get the numbers. It's civil. So yeah, that was interesting. I think it was about 1,000 people were able to watch the stream, or 1,200, around that number. So yeah, a lot of people used the space as a primary information source. Used Kurt for his transcribes. Used myself for my transcribes. Used Crypto Spartacus for his daily things. There was a lot of people. I think it was a group effort and a team effort of everybody that recorded that. You know, and just well done to everyone. Hats off.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, Alex, Fauvel, you came up here. I'm wondering if now's a good time to go over to you about these unsigned integers, or it was actually, or not the unsigned integers, but the video you made. If you can explain that website, what was it called, Scott?
The anonymous.
Yeah, the anonymous speech. Can you explain what that is, the significance of that is?
Yeah, so when Satoshi set up Bitcoin, they needed to buy a domain, and obviously they were trying to hide, so they needed a registrar that didn't take your identity as most registrars require. Anonymous speech was set up in like 2006 or something, that offered people to buy a domain using cash or credit card or e-gold and things like that. So Satoshi used that for obvious reasons, in that they'd keep his identity secret. And up until, what was it, 2015 or so, it was assumed that the email accounts connected to the anonymous speech account there were secure, and then in 2015 some things happened and people thought it was compromised. So the email addresses are kind of like assumed to be not under the control of Satoshi anymore. But after a little bit, during the discovery process, or in the preparation for this COPA case, while Craig had Antia as lawyers, he sent a lawyer a login to the anonymous speech website. We know that Satoshi had 3 email addresses. One was GMX and 2 was on the anonymous speech website. Anonymous Speech had anonymousspeech.com and vistomail.com as potential email domains. Yeah, and we don't know which account Craig gave Antia the login for, but it was dubbed the Sucra account because the username, the login username to it is Sucra. But that's not necessarily the same name as you have for the email address. Actually, on the Wayback Machine, they've got screenshots of what the process is. They captured the process of login back in and registration back in 2008. So if Wayback Machines comes back up, you'll be able to actually see what Craig saw when he set up the accounts. Anyway, yeah, shortly after that, anonymous speech went into maintenance mode. The lawyers then discovered that the account was no longer there when it came back up. And in 2021, anonymous speech shut down with the message, Craig Wright is not Satoshi, suggesting that the reason that they're shutting down is connected to crypto or the Satoshi identity in some way. What I found out after Craig hinted at it on Twitter is that anonymous speech is most likely run by a guy called Michael Groninger. And Michael Groninger used the Michael Weber as an identity to set up that company and website.
Was it the pilot?
And all those things.
The
yeah,
pilot?
Yeah. So Business Insider did an investigation and found some images of him and a bit of background, and then published an article on the 1st of April 2014. But you know, going off a name and a photo isn't really a huge amount if you don't know anything else about them. But luckily, if the face doesn't change that much, so if you find someone that kind of looks like the photo and they fit the profile of the type of person that would be doing that, then it's quite likely that there's the same person. Anyway, so Michael Groninger, I believe, shut down anonymous speech because it prevented the lawyers using the anonymous speech accounts as evidence to prove that Craig is Satoshi. It's one thing to have the login access to one of Satoshi's anonymous speech accounts. If he had access to both, and the payment method was a credit card which was stored somewhere in that account with the name Craig Wright, I mean, it's irrefutable evidence that Craig is Satoshi. So if all of that stuff is no longer available because the website's shut down, data is deleted because Swiss law allows you to do that, then, you know, it's a big problem for COPA, so they shut it down. And I guess in the past couple of weeks, when Craig put out on Twitter saying the owner of anonymous speech co-founded a crypto exchange that starts with KRA ... It's not hard to, you know, go, oh, well, that's Kraken. Look at the co-founders of Kraken and find a guy called Michael Groninger who is got a pilot's license or a gliding license of some kind, is Danish, and, you know, he's got exactly the same smile as the guy in the photos from the Business Insider article. So he, since I put out that video, he stepped down from Chain Analysis, which is the company he set up after co-founding Kraken in 2015. Chain Analysis is supposed to catch criminals with law enforcement or provide the tools necessary for law enforcement to track down criminals. And if this guy has been on the other side of a company for the past, you know, on another company on the other side of that fight for the past 10 years, and then immediately sets up another company. Oh, and by the way, he's owning both companies for some time. It's pretty damning. You know, if law enforcement finds out that you've been doing anonymous speech, they're not exactly going to work with you to try and track down the criminals that are using your other service.
Okay, so
so he stepped down. But yeah, then a week later, also, Wayback Machine went down, and this guy seems to be some sort of a hacker, and Wayback Machine seems to have been hacked.
Okay, so let me see if I understand this connection. It's really complicated. The connection here potentially is that this guy who was a pilot in a photo way back, like back in the day, you know, the connection is that he's the same guy who's this bald guy now, and he is a founder of Kraken, the exchange, and also potentially Anonymous Speech, the website, that was just hacked. And there's like, okay, help me kind of make the connection here.
Yeah, so Anonymous Speech is a website set up to keep people anonymous for whatever they want to do. Those types of services are predominantly used by criminals because they're constantly trying to hide who they are and what they're doing. And then that owner set up Kraken, realized that there's probably a gap in the market for an AML business, which is perfect because that's his background in that he helps criminals evade those kind of things, as opposed to helping law enforcement catch.
Wait, did you say Kraken?
Yep.
The exchange?
Yep, the COPA member.
Oh, okay, continue. Okay, so he that's a fact though. We know that he did.
Yeah, Michael Groninger set up Kraken. We don't. It's a question of whether Michael Groninger is Michael Weber as well. But if you look at the photos of the ones that Business Insider dragged up from the internet, and his podcasts, they look pretty damn similar. Same person, same nose, same teeth, same smile, same hobbies, same sort of ideologies, same business segment, same geographical area. It's pretty certain. Nothing's concrete until a proper law
court
enforcement
ruling.
investigation.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to say court ruling, obviously, because we've had one court ruling that we believe is incorrect.
Investigation, right? What? So
Yo,
Alex,
this is so juicy. Sorry.
go ahead. Yeah.
Real quick.
Alex.Sats. Okay, Alex.Sats, you're up. I didn't hear what you said. Start over.
That you posted of this. Do you have a side by side that you posted of this guy? Like,
yeah, if you go to my profile, there's a couple of videos recently.
Alex,
I'll post some of them to the top.
In the nest, yeah.
Sorry.
Did you post it, Casey?
No, but I would love to see that. I think I did watch that on Alex's page where he did that.
Alex Fauvel, are you saying that you made a video, then the guy resigned from his company after that?
Yeah, he stepped down for personal issues after token 2049. And the company's valued at $8.4 billion at last round. And the question is, well, why did he step down? No one really knows. The article that's saying he stepped down says he stepped down on the 25th of September. I published my video on the 26th. But I mean, really, when you're saying someone's gone and you don't necessarily know how to contact them, or they've dropped off, they've said, I need to leave, 1 day difference is neither here nor there for when you're writing the article.
Okay. And so okay, let me see if I understand the connection. So does anyone else understand this connection exactly? So is it the anonymous speech? Is that what he doesn't want people to know about, Alex? He doesn't want people that he was involved in that?
Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't want people to know he was involved in that because, being the CEO of Chain Analysis, which is supposed to be catching criminals, and also running a business that's helping protect criminals is not something your partners are necessarily going to be too fond of.
I see. So anonymous speech is known as a company that criminals go on there to talk on a blog anonymously?
Yeah. Well, not talking amongst themselves, but set up email addresses and websites. It's not necessarily even that anonymous speech itself is doing or has done anything illegal. It's just that criminals are using that to facilitate their crimes. And you shouldn't really be on both a black and white square at the same time.
I see.
You've got to pick a side.
Got it. Dude, wow. Super deep rabbit hole right there, man. What was the post that you had made, Scott, about just recently about, what's his name? Dorian Nakamoto. Is now about time. Can you explain what your thinking is on that? And I wasn't around at that time. Maybe if you were, the history on that. About
it's no new information at all. It's just a case of people keep telling Craig to sign, and that'll be proof. And Craig always says, "No, I'm not signing. That's not proof. It's not proof. If I have your house keys, do I own your house? No. There's lots of other evidence and paper trail that confirms the ownership, not just the holding of the keys. And obviously, a Satoshi address signed saying I am not Dorian Nakamoto when the news broke that there was a Japanese guy called Dorian Nakamoto, they all said, oh, that's obviously Satoshi. He looks how we want Satoshi Nakamoto to look, and this is the perfect guy. And he came out and said, no, it's not me. It's not me at all. And I think it was sort of, I got the impression it was sort of ruining his life a little bit. I think obviously he probably had criminals approaching him, trying to see if they could steal, see if he was, being thrust in the spotlight as Satoshi Nakamoto is not nice for anyone if you're trying to stay secret. It's especially not nice if you don't even know anything about it. And it just shows to me that there may, who knows what the future can bring. We never know what's happening. There was also that part in the court case where it was talking about what was it, not needing keys for the block or something along the lines of that. There's obviously intricacies of the Bitcoin network that maybe people don't know necessarily. And I think Craig has time and time again proven his in-depth knowledge with things like saying, oh, Bitcoin is Turing complete. And Nick Szabo saying, no, that's not true. And then it coming out years later that it does have a Turing completeness when it's attached to a layer 2 application.
And Scott, so did that guy Dorian Nakamoto, he signed was that on an email or on blockchain or what?
No, he didn't sign. Satoshi signed on the blockchain.
On the blockchain.
Saying, I am not Dorian on the blockchain. I am not Dorian Nakamoto.
And why do people believe that was Satoshi who signed that?
Because he's got a Japanese face. Because his second name is Nakamoto. Because he fits
wrote,
the ideology of what people do.
Was it where
I don't
he
even
wrote
think
it?
He had much. Sorry.
I'm sorry. So he wrote it. Was it like on a certain block or something that he had the key to, or how did he?
I believe it was a Satoshi Mind block. I'm not sure exactly which one it was, or if it was in emails, if it was in GitHub. But I remember he put the Satoshi put I am not Dorian Nakamoto, and
it wasn't on the blockchain. It was on the P2P forum. The P2P forum.
Oh, okay, that was it.
It was on a forum.
That was it. Yeah, it wasn't on chain. Sorry, my bad.
I was wondering about. So it was on a forum, but it was on a forum with Satoshi's account. That's how we know. Requested.
So
yeah, I think it was one of the reasons why people thought that the account had been hacked. Because also around this time there was an email sent by a Satoshi email address about Bitcoin. What was it? QTX or something?
Definitely not on the blockchain. It was a forum, and we do not know if that forum is compromised. So nothing anybody says on any third-party app, be it forum, be it Facebook, Instagram, or the Bitcoin Talk forum, can be viewed as evidence that Satoshi is alive or that Satoshi wrote it. All emails have to be considered compromised. However, during that time, everybody was already sniffing out Dorian Nakamoto and saying that guy does not have the wherewithal, the intellectual competency to he might have had it 30 years ago, but he's already suffering from old age. Yeah. So everybody said, oh, that's enough. That's enough proof that Dorian Nakamoto is not Satoshi. And then everybody quiet down.
I mean, Crypto Voyager, you're like an OG, man. When did you get into this stuff?
2013.
Yeah.
2013, and I at that time I was told that Bitcoin was a peer-to-peer electronic cash, and that we are looking at on how to scale it, but you can't do anything with it. And then a year later, Vitalik comes up on the screen and says, half a year later, he comes to the screen and says, let me create Mastercoin on top of it. And he wanted the opcodes open, and the core developers even at that time already said no way. That's why he created then something new, Ethereum. But that's where I'm from, and I did witness a lot of shenanigans. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't have thought that it would get this wild, however. So yeah, any message from Satoshi has to be viewed as illegitimate.
As compromised?
Sorry to say. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Good opinion. Okay. Does anybody else? I've got Face. Is Face's hand back up? I think your hand's up. If it is, Face, go ahead. Oh, Cub's hand's up. Go ahead, Cub. What's up, man? Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I just put my hand up because I think it continues on with Alex and then the question, but maybe I put it out as a bit of humor to match the HBO and to bridge these two, because that I think is the question is, well, what if Michael Groninger is Peter Todd?
The toddler? They call him the toddler. Is that...
I don't know if anyone got the joke there. Alex, you must have.
What if he's Peter Todd, Alex Fauvel?
What if Michael Groninger is Peter Todd? It's to play a bit on the film, right? The HBO film was I called it a mockumentary in a way, right? It was they're playing on, but how much is the director? We had Cullen Hoback saying, you were kind of pretending that you were Satoshi, so it's like, when is joking, an act? When are you when is a documentary trying to get the truth of the matter? And I think what Alex has done, like I tip my hat to him to dig into it and to make what anyone could have done, looked on the site and see some similarities. And I agree that it does the the facial structure seems to me pretty similar. And he's dug into this, and it's a credit to do that. And it's part of a number of pieces of the puzzle now that have sort of been exposed. And I know there's been a lot of criticism of the documentary, and I would agree with it in terms of how the narrative sort of twisted certain things or didn't follow certain things. I think maybe is a way to say it, like left that path untrod and instead went on to something else, and then offered this very Hollywoodish or pay-per-viewish so conclusion that there must be someone, we're going to unveil someone, and this is the one. But with the fact that Adam Back was there, and in a couple of the scenes, he's standing right beside or right behind this person who is literally joking to the camera. Yes, I am. Okay, so I will say I am. Okay, I'll admit it. And then saying, I am Satoshi Nakamoto, and I'm Craig Wright. And the director included that, which to me was astonishing.
It's an interesting tidbit. I reckon they might have planned to include Craig a lot more if the case had gone the other way, and tried to sow the element of doubt over the result of the case. But because he lost, they just kind of went along with what everyone else did, which is it's obviously not this guy. It's so obvious he's fraud.
Alex, but that documentary, if he would have won that case, that documentary could have been 90% then thrown away. So do you think he created that documentary, waited for the case, and said, thank God, I can now publish this?
I think that a lot of things were happening in parallel, and they maybe planned on including Craig a little bit, but probably not that much. And this was also almost like planned damage control if the case with Bird and Bird had gone wrong. Who, interestingly, are now speaking at BTC conferences. It's pretty wild to me.
And one thing about the documentary, real quick. Oh, go ahead, Scott. I'll go to you in just a second. Was that he mentioned right when he said that about Craig? I think it was at the end. He said, "Oh, and then finally the court found Craig was a fraud." Now, that I just don't think it's fair to make that and just not close the door on there, because there was no finding of that in the court. That wasn't the ruling. At all. They never said that there was a finding of fraud. They said that they made those 4 declarations. That was it. So I think that was improper. Who was it that?
It is very improper, because the declarations are that he's not Satoshi.
I'm not so sure about that, because Judge Miller did send Craig to the Crown Prosecution Service.
Yeah, but that's still
the judgment was also filled with with accusations that Craig was forging.
But that wasn't the relief that was asked for by COPA. So he can't. So there could be a finding in the future. Yeah, that could happen. But it hasn't happened yet.
He was never convicted of fraud. That's for the Crown Prosecution Service to prove that he has fraudulently, because fraud is a criminal act.
Exactly.
So no, he was never found of fraud. The evidence that they say
he's in the process. He's in the process of being found of fraud.
Investigated.
Why now?
He's in the process of being investigated, not being found for fraud. He's investigated.
Is different.
And I also think that'll be a good thing, because of police investigations have greater investigatory powers to force people to release documents and things like that. I think that's one of the reasons why after the Madden
for that.
No, they're not going to be relying on Madden, and also we won't see silly things like Marty Malmy coming into the court and saying all these things. Oh, I couldn't release my emails because Theamos runs the servers, and then the day later, all of the emails are released, which would have very much proven that Satoshi was a big blocker and Satoshi followed very similar principles, if not exactly the same principles as Craig Wright. So that was very conveniently released after after the Marty Malmy thing. And I think that was probably because that information eventually would have been subpoenaed. They would have been forced to give over that information. So by them voluntarily giving over it, then at least, hidden faces can stay hidden.
Yeah. Who is it? Bitcoin debates. He wanted to jump up on the stage, or is he here? Or he was here. He posted something. Casey, not sure what that is, but
I invited him to speak a while back.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see him up here anymore, but if he wants to chime back in and comment on that, please do. Back to you, Cub. What's going on? That was really good insight, by the way. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to then take the second part of that because we heard it, and credit to Crypto Spartacus for hosting that, and and then I had a question, and I know some others did, and you were in that space too, Gavin. It was about the sort of the body language and the facial gestures, right, and how in certain moments, because there were some very interesting exchanges, and I thought the interviewer or the filmmaker, I guess he calls himself, sort of did push on some hard questions at certain points, got interesting answers, left some things open, right? Like he even left the question open of, he named a few names to add him back, and then he said, and who else? And let him answer, right? Just creating that space. I thought some things like that were good. And then Samson Mao, I mean, because he was kind of like the co-reporter. He was like the one who connected people and went around with them. So he was in exchanges, and then how Peter Todd reacted to Samson Mao, for example, and then also how he responded to Adam Back too in some exchanges. I think these were very telling. I mean, so I don't know what percentage of people will think, hey, this is Satoshi. I've seen negative remarks, and also from one of the people that was in that photograph that was there, and I learned it was from March 2014 that was taken in an area that was, I forget if it was Arvind Naranyan. He was the organizer, I think, of it, and he and Jeremy Clark, who's in that photo, wrote the Bitcoin Academic Pedigree. But in any case, it was a pre-COPA. It was well before that. But Sarah Meiklejohn was there, and that's what some people have pointed to. But yeah, overall, I think there's going to be a lot to go on because now it enables questions, and you've seen his direct reaction, and you can only play, trick with the mask in front of you. I maybe not. I maybe not. So long because this is billions of dollars, and it's like, well, hang on a second here. You've just set yourself up, or Colin Holback has set it up. Or Samson Mao, because in the chronology, it was Samson Mao that first said Adam Back was like a father figure to you, and Peter Todd sort of says, well, okay, and then later on he checks, well, hang on, who asked you that first? And so it was Samson Mao. So they're setting it up, and then Colin Holback posts in, and leave it to however you want to believe, depending on your faith, but he puts them in the Trinity. He says Adam Back is the father, and Peter Todd is the son, and Greg Maxwell is the Holy Ghost, I think. And this is Colin Holback putting that. So it's like, are they trying to push a narrative of sort of idolatry, or they're getting pushback, and certainly behind the scenes, right? Because it's I don't know if it's the right definition of a dog and pony show now, but you have this other narrative. So people are going to be wanting to put Peter Todd on the stage, and if you can only do the agnostic, everything is about, we don't need to know and it doesn't matter. It does actually in the history, and it does in scientific and technological discovery, and it does because if that person's compromised or the person's team is compromised, well, the people are going to want to know that, right? Because that was insinuated as well, having Roger Ver there, whatever people's thoughts may be of him. I didn't think it was a Bitcoin Cash exhibition, but they let him say, John Dillon, who was that person, and he got to see Peter Todd's facial reaction to that. That was a tricky thing, and he's a tricky guy. So, if he's now the face of Satoshi for a small percentage of people or an underground percentage of people, well, who is Satoshi? What's he doing? What's like that is it malware, or they plugged in something with a chat GPT that's have a look at that. I'm not going to say much more of that, but what happens if you use the text from Peter Todd's messages and you plug that into an AI system, right? And I wanted to get coming back to the more positive things that can come out of it is I think this is going to really enhance and enable the storytellers. This is another great space. Things come up and people are listening. There's so many people that have been there and around and or digging in or contributing one way or another. So we just need to find a way to bring that into a mosaic, get the voices sort of enabled, the ones that don't speak enough or would like to come up forward. We had a good blockchain and health session, I thought, yesterday with Crypto Spartacus leading that. And just glad to be here. Turn it back over to you.
Cub, that was like one of the most eloquent and detailed, just perfectly described, the way you described that film. And I have to say, for me, I only listened to the film. So, you just painted a picture of exactly like I saw everything described so well. And even the post afterwards you mentioned about the Trinity, the way you described that was so accurate, with such accuracy. Thank you for that information. That was incredible. How you did that, and I'm wondering about your opinion about what did it leave with Adam Back? I mean, was there a definitive decision in the movie that Adam Back is or isn't Satoshi? Did they make that determination?
Peter Todd. It was Peter Todd.
Now it's Peter Todd.
He said he wasn't, though. So, and Adam Back has said it continuously, and he said it right before, and he said it after. Peter Todd does it in a more, the only way I can think of is tricksy way. But if you want, like, I haven't seen the whole thing. I went through sort of in high speed a few of the spots that I remember from the audio, and one to have a look at is the question Holback asked, which was, what would it take to break Bitcoin? How hypothetically, if you were to do it, how would you do it? And going back to 2011, 2013, and then of course the block wars came after that, and Peter Todd was the one who did the first video promoting that, right? But he said, Peter Todd's answer to that question with space after it was you'd splinter it into 5 pieces. So 5 efforts, I think, was the way he framed it, which is interesting too. So right there is and see his reaction, because that Mao was beside him and he was being asked with Holback across the camera. That right there is start a conversation about proof of work right at that 10 seconds, because it's the effort of everyone that's being wasted because they don't know the story, they don't know the throttling, they don't know the sort of shadowy places that it went because certain things were moved or changed, or this public decision wasn't actually very public and it was done by a small group. So anyway, I thought the director, producer, the filmmaker, whoever, he revealed some things that needed to be revealed and that I think are valuable to have been revealed. I think if he thinks he's won something or they've won something, I think the thunder probably is already starting in one way or another. Because now you have to own up to it, either the 3 of them or HBO. There's a lot going on. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, back to Scott, 369 BSV.
I believe Craig said something about how that guy did approach him for an interview a couple of years ago, but then never really came to Craig for a formal comment. I personally think that in that documentary would have been shown regardless of a win or a loss. I think if Craig had won, I think it would have tried to cast doubt onto Craig being Satoshi and why there's other people and who was more. But I actually think this is about the 21 million coins. I think, Peter, there's no avenue for BTC to really scale. They always do this war cry, or if it's not Lightning Network, then it's the ETFs. If it's not the ETFs, it's something else. If it's not this, it's something else. And so now, 21 million coins being raised up is a great way for BTC to escape the mess they've made. And it's the only escape that I see. And for a lot of people, that's almost sacrilege, changing the amount of coins. But for a lot of people that are, balls deep invested, they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do it. And what's that? So, Satoshi Nakamoto is saying it as well. Well, that must be right then, because of HBO, a channel funded by BlackRock, the largest investors. They're the ones saying it. So therefore, it must be true. It's just a pure propaganda to try to bring in the next war cry narrative of 100K. And I think that will be the moving of the 21 million coin cap. I think that's the next thing. That's the only thing I can see, really. So I think it's just social preparation, getting people ready for the idea of more than 21 million.
Nice.
Okay, just one thing. 369. The raising of the tail emission, the raising of the 21 million cap, is not to scale Bitcoin. It is to give the miners an incentive to continue mining on that chain.
Yes. Yeah. It's not.
The
I don't mean the scale of it.
the scalability would be just the scalability would still remain the same. And yes, it might be that. It might be predictive programming to say we already see the end of the road coming. There's a cliff. When the block rewards go away, the miners will not get any money anymore, and they will move to another chain. Yada 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 yada. And for that not to happen on a multi-trillion-dollar asset, we might have to say that our inflation schedule will change just a little bit. I mean, it's just 144 blocks with just 3 Bitcoins. I mean, what's 1,000 Bitcoins per day, more or less? It doesn't really matter in the long run. Yeah, so it might be that this is predictive programming for that. And the person responsible for that, well, is Peter Todd. He has been saying that he wants the tail emission changed already now for years. So it might be that way, but it is not for scaling. It is to keep the miners still mining a blockchain that does not give transaction fees sufficiently for them to keep on mining that much, where they rely on the block reward.
Yeah. No, I don't mean with the scaling of the amount of TPS that they can do. I meant more so scaling of the price, because if they're issuing out these coins and they're sort of already pre-ordered, so to speak, by big financial institutes, then those coins can push the price up. And especially if things like BlackRock, they start getting heavily involved. I'm sure they're already heavily invested in mining operations, but if they completely corner the market and have multiple mining companies that they are the largest owner and investor of, then it's just a circle jerk. They don't. It doesn't matter if they're losing money on mining, because they're making more money off of the fools coming in investing.
Cub, let me go to you in just a moment here, but really quick. One thing is, it sounds like what Crypto Voyager was saying, which is well taken, is that the potential, if they were planning on that, if there was a plan on the documentary, it wasn't just like an accident. Then it was like, okay, let's make this guy Peter Todd the golden boy. He's the hero, and that he wants to add more. He wants to inflate Bitcoin, make more BTC. And so that'll be a potential move for the future. That sounds like the narrative that Crypto Voyager is pointing out right there. That this guy could potentially be a golden boy, and it will be okay because he said so. He might be Satoshi. Look at him. Here he is. So is that, okay, back to you. Please retweet the space, guys. Share the space, retweet it, get the message out there, okay? And leave anything in the nest or comments. Back to you, Cub.
Well, actually, I saw Hector's hand up. I had put mine down, but I mean... hand up as well.
Okay, Hector, I had a little connection issue there, so now I see your hand is up. So how you doing, buddy? Floor's yours.
Good. I think what people don't care to realize or aren't realizing is the need for the price to go up. Like, the price has to go up because there are infrastructure people who are leveraged and depending on the price going up, right? Like disregard, like, yes, I agree the idea of like, oh yeah, if you don't sustain this network with fees, it's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. But it's been whatever years now and it's worked, right? In the sense of the price going up, it's worked. So now everyone's shifted to the price going up working. So you have miners, you have MicroStrategies all going in that direction and leveraging themselves in that direction. So I think that's the more those people and whoever's around them, the influence, whatever, like, are the ones who are, I think, wanting this price or some sort of way to get this price up, because it's imperative to their existence, I think, for this price to be higher, because they're literally leveraging themselves to get that thing. Like,
Hector,
if you look at all the, yeah,
can you play devil's advocate with me for a moment and just, get inside the mind of Michael Saylor? I mean, can you be on his side for a moment and tell me like what? I mean, he's putting money into it big time, so he obviously believes in it. He's not just pumping it, So what is it he sees? If you were in his shoes,
well, I think what he sees is that he's going to become the next, the next institution, that like the next great institution, the next JP Morgan, the next that, whatever, right? But I find it funny is like we're having all these quote unquote institutions, all these big players coming in, but the price dramatically stays roughly the same, right? You get these spurts of up and then back down, spurts of up and then back down, right? And so if it's like the simplistic view is like there's obviously someone selling because the price won't continually go up. Yet we have these announcements of you have miners, all these, the ones who are generating the coins, right? Who are publicly known, generating the coins. Those people are showing you that, hey, look, we're not selling. We're holding these things, because why would we sell valuable bitcoins when we can get worthless dollars as debt and float ourselves until that price continues to go up, right? So they're holding on to the dollars, which is a really weird thing to think about. Like, it's like if you have a sandwich shop and you make a sandwich, but then you don't sell the sandwich. You put the sandwich in your fridge and you say that's a $10 sandwich because the market's saying it's $10. So I've made $10 and I'm gonna put it in my fridge instead of selling it. And then they continually do this thing over and over. And then next thing you know, they have 10,000 sandwiches, right? And they made $100,000. Now they have $100,000 of revenue that they call, but they didn't actually sell anything to generate the revenue. It's just in the form of sandwiches or in the form of Bitcoin in this example. So then that value of that $10 sandwich the market is saying is $10. It's it's in their view, it's in their like they're incentivized to make sure that that price of $10 stays $10, because they want to go turn around to private investors and be like, hey guys, look, I generated all this revenue. We still have all this Bitcoin. Give us more debt or give us more worthless dollars so we can turn around and make Bitcoin with it, right? But it cuts both ways. Like that's the same idea with MicroStrategy. Like they buy coins, right, which pumps price, because obviously when you're taking coins off the market, you're pumping price up. And then that increases the valuation of MicroStrategy. And like, look, guys, MicroStrategy valuation is now up. You should give us more money because look at our valuation; it goes up, even though it's like partly them who did it. But they say, cool, yeah, we'll give you money. They give them money. They have now cash. Price drops because someone sold like usual. And then now MicroStrategy says, hey guys, we're going to buy Bitcoin. They buy Bitcoin, they raise price again. Now they have more Bitcoin, so the valuation is increased even more because it's divided by the number of units they have now, like 60,000 divided by 20 versus 60,000 divided or times 20 divided by 6,000 times 100, right? So say, oh look, our valuation went up even more, guys. Give us more dollars. Okay, cool. Here's more dollars. Boom, price drops. Do it again, right? So they keep just recycling this whole idea, but yet they keep pointing to their idea, their valuation going up, so they keep able to raise money. So that's basically like a spiral that's waiting to happen, in the sense that what if the price just drops because whoever said this is not worth what it's worth. It's these exact institutions are just the ones who are propping up the value because they're completely incentivized to do so, because it allows them to continue the type of operations they're doing.
Yeah.
So disregard the entire network of users.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do you want to comment on that, Scott? That I mean, I saw that Craig was mentioning there was an actual guy called Charles Ponzi. I didn't, Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a simple Ponzi scheme. It's getting the people in at the base to prop up the top, and then eventually there's not enough people that can come in, and it just it's a house of cards. It eventually falls. You can't just keep borrowing and keep borrowing and keep borrowing. You're if there's no utility based on the thing that you're borrowing against,
So what about the argument from the other side that's saying that they're going to scale it, and they have this other, I know that Raphael and other people were saying fractal and these other things apparently are the next big thing. They're going to scale the block size.
It doesn't matter.
No?
None of that matters. What matters is the price. The price is the thing. Like they just need to get bigger and bigger audiences with influence to get people to buy it. Like before, it was like, oh, let's get tell your friends, tell your family, right? Okay, you know, Bitcoin's a thing, and then it moved on to like, oh, tell now celebrities, like tell them to tell their people, get influencers to tell their people, get news outlets to tell their people, get congressmen to tell their
Presidential candidates.
exactly. So it's like that's the whole idea. The idea is like, how can we get more people to boost this price up? Because clearly it was not working yet. We're not able to keep pushing it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, how come the price didn't go up when the presidential candidates were promoting it?
It seems that it's because it's the same kind of people who are the ones buying. Like we're seeing sailors and them buy more, right? And then everyone's like, well, this is not there's not a distribution of investors here. It's just the same people who are telling other people to buy are the ones actually buying it and telling everyone else to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it should have went up already when the presidential candidates were talking about it. And Robert Kennedy even said he supported it, bought it, made a lot of money. And then he used it at that space. Hold on, let's see. Casey, what just happened? Did the space go black?
Yeah, it's black.
Okay, something happened.
See me and Hector.
I can only see us three too.
Wow, that's so weird. Is the space? Okay, I see. Yeah, I only see the three of us in here. Is that accurate?
That's it. I don't know if they can hear us. Maybe check the back channels.
I don't know.
How? Wait a second here. Oh, wait. People are starting to show up now. Like,
oh, I see them now.
Okay, we've got, like, did the space just restart or something? Like,
it seems like that happened.
Wow. People, okay. I'm yeah, there's some technical issues here. Maybe that's a good time to cut it because this is definitely, if you want to, okay, everybody just got dropped, I guess. Yeah, except us three. So
I think they're coming back now.
Are they? Okay. All right. Okay,
you guys
well,
struck a nerve.
What's that, Casey?
I said we must have struck a nerve.
Something happened. I mean, we just okay. Let's go over to One Love. She just came up. We just had a technical issue and got dropped. So I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, well, I thought it was just me, but it must be multiple people. We're gonna blame it on Hector. He's talking at 2.5 speed here, just rugging the whole space. You got to bring it down to normal level, Hector. I know you're excited.
I broke the transcribing service apparently.
You did.
Dude, he literally did. I mean, he shut the whole space down.
I thought it was my crappy Wi-Fi.
No, it was only, we were the last three people in the space, and then Hector was talking to Casey and I, and everybody else was removed.
That's just the omen.
That tells you right there. It tells you exactly what you need to know.
That's the omen of the future of BSV. It has to go down to us three before we can actually continue this.
The Holy Trinity. I thought it was Greg Maxwell, Adam Back, and Peter Todd. That's what the director said.
I did see my PFP change to Peter Todd.
Okay,
so this is the fake Hector account. This is not the real one. It's the one that spams me.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe a Blockstream plant.
One Love, what's going on in Toronto today? Is it nice out?
Yeah, it's nice out. I mean, I was just I was enjoying. Hector likes to use sandwich shops as an example now. Meanwhile, I'm like, what does he know about sandwich shops? Just dude doesn't know. But it's okay. I like that example. It's great. Just busy at work here and enjoying the conversation.
Nice. Very insightful. Well, let's wind it down. At least on my end, I've got some stuff I've got to run to. So if we can just say some last words with the speakers on stage, we got Casey, Scott, One Love, and Hector. That's the only people left. Everybody else got dropped. So Casey, why don't we start with you in closing thoughts?
Just thanks, everyone. Hector, I invited you a few times to get up here. I'm so glad you came up. I always enjoy listening to your insights. So thank you. Gavin, amazing show today, and looking forward to watching these cases play out. This is very exciting. So thanks for helping me go deeper with my awareness of what's actually happening here, everyone.
Hey, thank you. Much love. Casey, Nicole, over to Scott, 369 BSV, closing thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just keep watching what CS Tominaga account is posting. I think we're going to get a lot of insightful information on what was happening behind the scenes. Also, this new case, the Champagne passing off case. This is going to open up a whole can of worms because of BTC doesn't follow the white paper. So there's going to be a lot more fireworks with that. And yeah, just sort of keep questioning things, keep researching, and yeah, continue continue the good work everyone is doing.
Right on. Thank you, Scott. Okay, One Love, closing thoughts.
Oh, I wasn't participating that much, but I'm just saying I enjoy you guys actually taking the time to do this. I know it's a big commitment, and it's good to be able to just tune in while you're at work or whatever you're doing and listen to these spaces and kind of get updated without having to scroll through your feed all the time, because nobody's got time for that, right? So appreciate your hard work.
Thank you. Well, back at you. And Hector, closing thoughts from you, my man.
I just want to thank HBO for their documentary and revealing that Peter Todd is the real Craig Wright, and we have found Satoshi. So yeah, if we could just move this along, it'd be great.
All right. Thank you, HBO, for your finding of facts. That was very, very helpful. And yeah, everyone be sure to believe everything HBO says about Satoshi. So yeah.
I think, sorry to jump in though, I think that everybody in all camps kind of hated that equally. And that's kind of interesting to me. So it's, yeah, BTC or BSV or whoever it was, everybody hated it, and it's wonderful.
Crypto Voyager, I think, had the best analogy on that. And there was like the idea of like, okay, well, if it was planned, let's just think it was, then they want to put this guy, Peter Todd, who is talking about adding more BTC to the supply. He's been talking about that. And now he can be the new hero and make him the golden boy. Hey, everybody, this is Satoshi right here. He wants to add more BTCs. So dude, great motive. I like it, man. Yeah. So, yeah, in closing, we just did a court of public opinion, Satoshi's vengeance, the COPA v. Wright stuff, what's going on with the trial and all the updates with Meiklejohn. We talked initially about the stuff with potentially with Tufty the cat, David Pearce on meeting with the court, whether or not that's going to be brought up on appeal or whether he's COPA's actual attorney. Alex said he wasn't possibly. So, that's a little confusing on that, if he's actually working as COPA's attorney or if it's a separate company. So that is a kind of an important fact that will have to come up. So other than that, let's do another space in the future. Maybe next Friday. We gotta go deeper on this stuff and keep the momentum going. And then also, I heard the BTC has a white paper now. I was asking about the BTC white paper. That is out. You can find it on my YouTube. I did a short on it yesterday. It's linked there. It's on the CS Tominaga account. They finally got a white paper out. So be sure to read it. It's very, very, very insightful. You can learn a lot. So, all right. That's it, guys. I'm going to close it up there. And, by the way, and thank you for the words about, the prayers about Zack from BSV Panama, dude, and some really good vibes. And just in closing on that, remember the story that my lawyer friend, he literally last fall, he died and he hosted a call on Tuesday. We had a little vigil. We had a little, prayer with him. And we didn't know we thought he had died. And then literally like shortly thereafter, after we said this prayer and positive vibes, like I get a call from his dad, and he's like, "Hey, he's not dead. They revived him. They put those machines on him, and he came back to life. And then he went into recovery for like the next 3 months, and now he's back at it 100%. And it was like the power of like 50 people coming in a room, kind of like this together, and sending out good vibes and positive feedback for them. So everyone, you say something, do some good in the world, like Zack would say, or touch some grass. All right. We'll see you at the top later.